Content warning. The following show contains, well, look at that. It contains the incorrect title card. The following show contains smoking of tobacco, sometimes potty mouth language, discussions of fictitious topics, or other things that might be a little sensitive to some people, but nothing harmful. Either way, your discretion is still advised. I'll just let you get away with this because it's Monday, right? I mean, we're already. Oh, so we should probably do. I know what you can start the show. Hey everybody, what is going on? What is going on? What's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing out there? This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. And welcome, my friend, to the dark side of the room. This is the show. This is the very show where we talk about games and life and all of those things that make Tommy Wiseau scream things like, "You are tearing me apart, Lisa!" Like, don't you know anything about life? Yes, what do you know about life? What do you know about games? What do you know about the game of life, Lisa? That's right. And thank you, hon. Yeah, there we go. Thank you for being here on Monday afternoon for us in the Pacific and the Hawaiian time. And for evening, for the rest of y'all out there, specifically Xanathades in the land of beer and cheese. It's so hard for me to not say the land of milk and honey and stuff like that. Because I know you're in the land of milk. I don't know about how y'all got bees out there in that neck of the... I figure it's kind of cold, for bees, but I'll ask somebody when the time isn't there. And of course, I ain't here alone, y'all. As always, I am here with a co-host, my person that is here co-hosting the show with me. That's, how can I put it? Great entertainer, great humanitarian, somebody. Now, I'll let you guys know, we both look tired. So she looks tired and I get manic, but that's okay. You guys know her, you love her, you want to hear the new mixtape that she's dropping out there in them streets. Ms. Johnson, how you doing? Hang on, one of our computers is being a little blah, so you're breaking up a little bit. Let's try this again. Ms. Johnson, how you doing? Talk to me.
Okay, so
I'm losing your frames, like left, right, and sideways.
I'm at my friend Wi-Fi here, so I'm dropping names. That's probably why. But not okay. I had a rough weekend, but I made it through it. So yeah, I'm here today. Burritos, and yeah.
All right. Well, let's hope that Wi-Fi signal catches up and all that stuff. But in the meantime, let's talk about some stuff. Now, if y'all want to get a hold of us, I'm gonna put the email and all that stuff up there a little bit later because I want to make sure that Heather's signal comes in a lot better, and I don't want to be like email me and then just ignore her. I'm not that kind. But as that said, I got my coffee, which is what I drink instead of tea. Hey, sad strange little man. That's right. You come from us from Canada land. Oh, Canada land. Oh, you Canada, you land of the Canadian. You know. And again, this is the good stuff. And down here, the good stuff, the wonderful good stuff. And so this week, I was really racking my brain over what we are going to talk about. And you know, I like this thing that I've been doing lately with giving a theme to the episodes of the week. So I'm going to keep that up because it's a lot easier for me to write and all that jazz. So this week, our theme is going to be the sameness of books. And that's going to be a whole lot to talk about because um, I don't just come from the land of sunshine. I would say sunshine and citrus fruit, but I don't want y'all to think I'm in Florida. I come from the land of sunshine and entertainment, where every day is hot and sunny. All of us, we're just lizard people. What do you do? I'm sitting by the pool. I'm a freaking lizard. That's what I do. Why? Because even when it rains,
I'm
it
not a
still ends
lizard
up
person.
hot and sunny. You say that, you're from Southern California. You're like, yeah, I'm not a lizard person. Yeah, let me throw you somewhere like Colorado in winter, and you'll be like, it's cold. Or throw you up in Seattle in the winter, and it's like, it's cold, it's dark, it's always raining. And I'm like, yeah, it's not California, specifically not LA. Um, but you know, I'm kidding, all that stuff. But I get a lot of talks from about the games that I play or the games that they, and there is kind of a habit that a lot of people is, some people like to use the term power gamer, but I don't. Um yeah, warm rain and where 70 degrees is sweater weather. Exactly, Miss Moves a lot. Exactly. But what I do want to bring up is a lot of people talk to me, and I was teaching some people some game, right? And one of them who talks a lot about ADD, they'll remain nameless for reasons. They were like, "Well, this game is no different from the other one you taught me. It's just a bunch of figures moving around, and then you roll dice, and then you say what happens." I'm like, "Yeah, but looking at it like that, that's pretty much every single board game. I don't care if it's Monopoly or Wasteland Warfare or, you know, whatever. You move a thing, you roll some dice, or you move a couple of cards, and then things happen and you keep going on. That's kind of like saying, yeah, no game is different from another. You take a ball, it starts in one place, you move it to another place, and then you get points. I mean, it's all the same. And I can tell you there's a big difference between baseball, football, and basketballs, you know, but it's all moving a ball from one place to another. And then that got me
Don't
thinking,
forget
well,
soccer.
hmm?
Don't forget soccer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have been clearer. Yeah, I didn't forget soccer, but I did forget American football. I did there? Yeah, see what I
Oh,
did? Yeah.
I see what you did there. You okay? I got your number.
Yeah, exactly. Pie.
Okay.
But no, and football is life. Football is life. Danny Rojas. Anyway, not that I've been,
Manchester United.
huh?
I said go Manchester United.
No, no, Manchester United. Blah, blah,
Yes.
blah.
No. Oh, let me guess. You're a Chelsea fan?
Hmm?
Let me guess. You're a Chelsea fan or Galaxy?
Rio. Rio and Bahia. Okay. Thank you, Grego. Grey
Okay.
Ghost 82. Yeah, Grey Ghost 82 is right there with me. All right. So yeah, you know, Manchester United. Ha! I live off of Manchester. I don't need to see that anywhere else. No. Oh, okay. Uh-oh. Oh, Xanathates is a Man City fan. All right. Am I gonna have to paint my skin green and we talk like orcs and then we have to headbutt each other until one of us is right? No, no. So yeah. No, and no, I'm not a Chelsea fan. There is way too much money in Chelsea for them to allow me to be a fan. Like, oh, serious. I've been to Chelsea, or should I say, I've been through Chelsea. And between Chelsea and Knightsbridge, I'm like, oh, this is that London. Mm. And shouts out if you are from London, but if you're from, say, oh, I don't know, West End, Cheapside, Whitechapel, South End, then subscribe. Because I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to talk about patterns. Okay, patterns are a really big thing. Now, a lot of people are like, Solar, what do you mean patterns? Most games are very individualized and there are options upon options upon options. And the way that people play does not have to be the same way every time. You're right. You're all right in that. I'm not saying that games are samey. I'm saying that sometimes games can feel samey. I noticed a pattern with myself because I spend the most time with and um and I notice how I do stuff things. One of the ways that I do stuff and things is like when I'm playing a game, I don't care what game it is. If it's a game where I can build my own teams, I tend to go for swarms. That's always been my thing. Um my blue deck in Magic the Gathering, Mermaider, it's about attacking somebody with like 38 mermaids. Most of them are tokens. Um, when I built a halfling deck for Magic the Gathering, it was always about attacking them with 35 halflings, most of which are tokens. When I played StarCraft, I was about the Zerg Rush. Um, when I play tabletop minis games, I put together teams that are like, hey, I got a monster in my back pocket, but take a bunch of Izzes. And I think it was because when I was a kid, I saw someone get attacked by a swarm of bees, and I thought, wow. Or not. I don't know. I don't know. I just actually no, it's literally because I've seen riots and people like the sea of fate that go through, and I think that's awesome. But also that makes a lot of times I play with games samey. Um, and when I look at a lot of things like role playing games, I have one group of friends that play role playing games. Every game is the same. It's a political game where 17 of the people in the game play exactly the same character they played the last 5 games, and one is going to manipulate the money. One is going to try and show how awesome he is without any superpowers or augmentation. One is going to take all the magical augmentations while saying there's no such thing as the supernatural. It's just a thing, right? Um, but a lot of times I get bored with the way that I play. And this is about recognizing patterns in oneself and switching it up a bit. The most obvious where we're going to start is with role playing games, okay? Because it is super, super, super easy to notice those patterns in role playing games. Okay. Like real talk, real simple. Quick quiz, Heather. Give me 3 archetypes of role playing characters. Just 3.
I want to say chaotic neutral, and chaotic good.
No, those are alignments. And
Alignments.
when I say archetypes of give me archetypes of D&D players. Like when you're at a role playing game table, what are the kind that people already know? Like, if you're brand new to the hobby, what have you heard about when it comes to role playing games? The players that you've heard.
Uh, I've heard of like maxing players. I've heard about minimalist players, and I've heard of players who just like in like WOD or World of Darkness. There's the player who plays a fish milk, kind of like
Mm,
very respectful, kind of to in mental health players.
yeah. See, you're definitely starting to see that. Most common archetypes of role playing games are, of course, the edge lord, the bully, the rules lawyer, and of course, the dumb one. Right under that, yeah, the horny bard. The horny bard is definitely right under that because the horny bard likes being under everything. um, Well, am I wrong? you know, some of the
Hey, I
most.
never played my bard like that.
Hmm?
I never played my bard as like a horny person.
Oh, then you've never played a bard. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But that
Oh my
mindset,
god, I'm
yeah.
gonna get off the show now.
No, your line was, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get off of this call and go over there and slap the crap out of you." That was your line.
Hold that thought, Solar. I'll be right
you know,
there.
you know, that was your moment to be like, "Boy, don't make me go over there." Not that I want us channeling any of our moms, um, but oh, that's funny. That's funny. Not every bard is horny, but every horny person doesn't like bards. But yeah, I mean, these are the things. Oh yeah, the cheery kleptomaniac. Yeah, that falls into the fish milk or the childlike crazy person. You know, um, and a
Child
lot of people,
creepers? Oh yeah.
huh?
You said child creepers?
No, the childlike crazy people. You know them as fish mouths,
Oh.
which are the Malkavians from the old White Wolf games that would be like, "I'm crazy, da 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 da," hit you with a carp, and then they skip away. But there's also the childlike one. The "I'm only 6 years old. Look at me. Now I pick your pocket and rob the party. But I'm only 6 years old. Look at my innocence. La 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 la." Essentially, doing impressions of every child around me that I wanted to kick when I was a kid. Hmm.
Mm.
You know, And I'm not gonna lie, like it's easy to fall into these patterns. My pattern is super obvious with role playing games, and that is the utility wizard. You know, I'm not the combat guy. I like to have a spell for most occasions that most people don't seek. I'm very much a Johnny type player in the Timmy, Johnny, and Spike archives. I'm like, hey, I figured out a way to do damage with Mage Hand. I don't attack. I don't attack. I do not attack with Mage Hand. I just lift a 10-pound rock over someone's head and I dispel it. Now, they get a dodge roll, but if not, they're hitting the head with a rock that's falling from 30 feet in the sky. You know? Um
No, Piggy, don't die in.
oh man.
You
Uh
know what I'm quoting. You
uh,
know what I'm referencing, right?
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, make no
You
mistake
realize the
because
reference I'm
yes, because that particular book is hell. That book is my version of being a very bad boy and dying and going to a place that's Allegorian in tone. I think that's my fifth circle of hell. Really is. You know? Like,
Mm.
no, Piggy, no. And I'm like, yeah, fight over my glasses. Fight over my glasses. Of course, knowing me, I just would have been, they would have beat me to death with a conch shell. Um, saying, quit cutting me off. It's my turn
I
to
wish
talk.
they had just made us. I'm sorry.
What was that?
I thought you were talking to me.
No, no, no. Conch shell, they used to talk and all that stuff. And, oh, you're trying to be all cute and charming. I get it
Oh.
now. You're doing a bit. Ha ha. Yeah, see that okay. Yeah. See, look at your eyes. Now, but yeah, so how do we break that rut? Well, the first question is, where does it come from? Okay? Where do these patterns come from? And in my experience, and what I want to talk to you guys about today is the C word. Okay.
You
Uh,
mean
hmm? You cut out a little bit right there.
CUT? Yeah, I did. I
No, I'm
purposely
not
did that
trying to
because
catch
it's
you
not
next Tuesday.
language.
No, I'm not trying to
No,
catch you up
okay,
next
okay.
Tuesday. No, the C word I'm talking about is comfort. Okay. Um, Most
Oh.
people, when they start playing games, they have essentially the most incorrect teaching methods that were given to them. And when I say most incorrect, I'm not judging people. But what I am saying is they were taught how to play not the game, but they were taught to play a certain character type. Or they were taught to play character types in one particular way. Most of the time, that way is efficient. You know, um, I cannot tell you how many
Do it the
times.
right way.
Hmm? Yeah,
Do
not
it the
just the
right
right
way.
way, but
Game the
like,
right way.
yes, if you're playing straight up Dungeons and Dragons, I don't care what edition. Talk to any grognard besides me. And if you roll up a wizard, you gotta take prestidigitation. You gotta take mage hand. If you're writing up a warlock, you gotta take Eldritch Blast. If you're writing up if you're writing up a fighter, you have to take two weapon. And it's like, when you tell a new person this, it sets the precedent of there is only one way to do things. And it closes the door to the rest of the imagination. Um, but again, when people do this, they tend to get into a rut. Like, yeah, I like playing utility wizards, but I can play a combat mage all day. I know how to link up spells and do spell combinations and things like that. Um, I can play the horny bard in the same way that I can play the old sage that always has a story, or not the old sage, but the old sage that always has a story. Like, oh yeah, back 20 years ago, I was here. And then there was a midget, and I told him I'm not giving you 5 gold pieces for that. Yeah, but if you turn the key counterclockwise, that's how you kill the guy. I mean that kind of thing. you know, Yeah, the horny old sage that has a dirty story. No, I like playing the drunken uncle that always says exactly what you need to hear, but you have to listen to like 5 minutes of BS. um, that guy. That guy is like, oh God, Grandpa, yeah, I know, uphill both ways. It was always snowing. I get it. Did you just tell me next week's lotto numbers? The aristocrats. Oh God, you guys are killing me. You guys are killing me. Um, so the first part about changing anything, changing your own patterns, changing the types of games you like playing, changing the stories that you want. The first, recognize your pattern. Okay? You can't change what you don't know about. Hmm. I have a friend. He's like my best friend, and we talk about comics and writing styles and all that stuff. And one day, I looked at him. I don't play a whole lot of games with him because we game on two different techniques. Um, Meaning I like supers, he likes street level. And I went to his house one day, and I noticed that he really liked Greg Rucka. Okay, he's a writer. He wrote The Huntress. He was writing Batgirl for a while, and he's really good at writing street level crime dramas. Like, he writes for DC, but he would be a really good Marvel writer. Specifically on books like Daredevil and The Punisher and stuff that is really grounded. And my friend likes stuff that's really grounded. And so when I game with him, chances are we're gonna do something really grounded because that's what he likes. Example, he introduced me to Night Model Games. Okay, that's the company that does the C Universe game. And I'm like, cool. I can play the Lantern Corps. I can play the Justice League. I can play the Injustice League. Oh my God, they have a kit for Darkseid. Yeah. And he plays the Batman miniatures game, which isn't just from the same company, but uses the same minis. And it's all about the Bat family, the Batman Rogues, and the Batman Rogues don't team up, they use their gangs. So it's like Batman, Robin, and Batgirl versus Two Face and five goons. And that's his jam all day. He loves the gritty on the street. Like, if there is going to be a superhero, let's not make him super, super. Let's make him a vigilante type of thing. And so when I have him, like, if he's going to run a game, I know nine chances out of 10, it's going to be a heist game like Blades in the Dark or any of the games from White Wolf, like Vampire the Masquerade or something like that. But low level characters, not a lot of superpowers, very grounded. I have another friend who's kind of nomadic, but when he runs a game, it's not a game, it's a simulation. Like, if it's a space game, we're gonna spend a lot of downtime in a spaceship going from one place to another because space is so big that it was named what you call a large area of emptiness. That's how big space is. The geographic location of space is the adjective for empty. So just think about that, all right? And yeah, so yeah, they upset their super parents. You're terrible, Neon. You really are. There's the puns are just coming. Just matter of fact, did you take shoe polish and just smear on a mustache today? That's just what I gotta ask, because you're trying to throw out some serious Groucho. Okay? If you're young, Google is free. Um, but how do we continue to enjoy games when we're bored by playing them? And the number one thing is to recognize why you're bored. Most people get bored with games for they either don't feel like they're winning or they win the same way over, over, over. Right? Now we're doing this from a player's perspective in this section of the show, but we will talk about GMs. Don't worry. Um, so what are some of the patterns that we can look at? Well, pattern number one is ask yourself, am I being adventurous or am I being efficient? Okay. What do I mean? Every single thing that you can create has an idea of the best. It's the best. What do you get? This is the best combination. I'm making a fighter. This is how I can do the most damage and take the least damage. So this is what I do. This is my combination. You hear this a lot in conversation with, why would I take that spell when this one does that at a lower level? Or when you're playing anything that builds teams and uses resources like tabletop minis games or card games. Well, why should I do that when this thing does it for fewer, you know, or for less mana, or whatever reason you're doing it? I can accomplish this this way better because of this efficient means to get there. Um, and that is a way to play. But what I've seen is that expedites the path to boredom. Has this been your experience, Heather?
I haven't experienced that, but I have experienced what it is like to mid max. And while there are two differences between what you mentioned, which is the player who's trying to be efficient, um, they have some similarities. Like an efficient player will want to uh, not waste time. A mid maxer player is gonna also not want to waste time either, but they'll find some kind of caveat to go ahead and run with and turn it in their favor.
Mm. Okay. Okay, yeah, that is definitely a way. That is definitely um, and for some folks, specifically the min maxer, oh my god, it's just yeah. For some folks, specifically the min max, that is the game that they are playing. That is the one that they're done with. That's your bag. Cool. Um, One of the things that I tend to know is that most modern games are written with enough variety to entertain someone regardless of what their taste is. Okay. Um this is a really big thing. This is why a lot of games have like, well, you want to do a swarm, that's your thing. If you want to be a spellcasting wizard and do DPS, that's your thing. There was a time, the 2010 specifically, where efficiency became the big thing for most game design. And that was because of one major trend. Care to take a guess at what that trend was? And here's a hint: we talked about it in the last show.
Are you asking me, or are
Yeah.
you? Of course, you're asking me. There's no one else here. So I want to say it was either Pathfinder or World of Darkness.
um, Close, very close. Neon Arlecchino was a little closer with video games, specifically World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, because when World of Warcraft was at its peak, everything was about the raid. Is your character min maxed or efficiencyed up enough to join this party to go kill this big thing and take its stuff? Okay. Um, and everything about Morpigers, multi-massive, massive multiplayer online games, is less about the story and more about kitting out your character overall. Like, I'm not talking individual players, I'm talking about the statistical census of why people play the games. Okay, look at a you know, you look at a commercial for things like Raid Shadow Legends. Please sponsor us because you sponsor everyone else. Um, and it's all about, yeah, you create your party and you kit them out and then you make them stronger and then you fight bigger enemies so you can kit them out in order to fight bigger enemies. You know, it's that particular cycle. And
I think they have a lawsuit out for them. I mean, it could be a joke too, but I've tried downloading Raid Shadow Legends and it just didn't work with my phone. It was a waste of time.
okay, that is a possibility. I haven't tried Raid Shadow Legends yet because I don't really play video games. Um, my
I
spare
wasn't
time.
aware it was a video game. I wasn't aware it was a video game. I thought it was a mobile game.
There's a difference.
Yes, big
Okay.
difference. Um, yeah, typically when I used to stream, I would feature mobile games, and they were kind of popular games too. Like Skullgirls was one, for example. I got someone in the chat saying, I thought you were going to be playing the console version. Call me when you actually play the console version. So that matters. It
Oh,
matters a lot because the gameplay is a little bit different than, say, on a console. Where mobile you're just like tapping and swiping, but with console you have the different buttons to push and all that, so it's a different kind of mechanic that they're working with, and some people don't like that.
interesting. See, this is so me showing my old man card. I'm like, oh, well, there. Okay. Um, yeah, there's a difference in gameplay. All right. Um, but yeah, so when World of Warcraft was at its peak, everything was about rating. Everything was, is my character kitted out enough to be accepted by the cool kids so I can go kill the monster with them? And that was an entire generation of players. And when I say generation, I don't mean generation like Xbox. I'm literally talking um a 10 to 20 year cycle of gamers. And a lot of them take the idea to the tabletop role playing table. Now, in truth, there is no right or wrong way to tabletop role play. You know,
Can I say something real quick?
well, you
Just
just did, but
comment
okay.
on.
Yeah.
I apologize not to like interrupt your thought. It's just there's a difference between playing on a computer for just like with mobile. There's a difference between playing on a computer and a difference between playing on a console. They're vastly different. I mean, the game mechanics are almost the same, but when you put the console up, you have the controller. Whereas if you're using like mobile device, like I already mentioned, you're tapping and swiping, and people don't like that. Or if you're doing a tabletop role playing game, yeah, there's no controller. You are the controller. You yourself are the person who's in the game. So those are the key differences, in my opinion.
Well, um, the thing when I say that there's no wrong way to do it is because playing a game concerning the imagination is tailored to the imagination of the people who are playing at the time. And it's like that's saying that there's an incorrect way to draw or a bad way to imagine. You know, um, that this is one of the individuated things. However, with the idea, the difference in culture, between the two styles of play is something that can cause a lot of boredom. Excuse me. When I teach a lot of people, and I brought this up with competitive players and athletes specifically, I always get the question, well, couldn't I have just? And that question's come from a place of, why am I doing this the hard way when I could have done this the way that led me? And tabletop games, more than any other type of game, because of the resources involved, have more opportunity and, I guess you can say, a deeper and more reachable way of experiencing the journey more than the destination. Um, when World of Warcraft came out, I was working at a game store, and a lot of people were asking, "Well, what's to stop me from playing World of Warcraft?" And I'm like, "Well, you can definitely play World of Warcraft. However, a pen and paper may cost less, but it allows you the resources of an unlimited budget in a way that a video game can't give you." So you might think, I go left, right, left, right, up, down, B, A, start, and I can get this over here. Or I just go this way to this town, I do this, and this happens. But if I do this, this happens. But if I do this, the game crashes. Because that option hadn't been written, or that option is contradictory to what has already been programmed within the engine. Where when you're on a tabletop, if you don't go with the GM's plot, the GM can make something up and it won't crash. You'll still be playing. So, with the option of doing just about anything, it reduces the possibility of being efficiented, being super efficient and prepared for all situations. And but when people craft themselves for super efficiency at one thing, call them min maxers or power gamers, or I like to call them hyper specialists. A lot of folks tend to get bored because, how can I put it? They end up being really, 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 really good at one thing that very rarely comes up in play. It's like, I'm gonna set a game where we're superheroes in Nebraska. I want to play Aquaman. Ooh, okay. You see what I mean? It doesn't crash the system because since it's my world, I can throw lakes and rivers everywhere if I felt like it. You know, um, but a lot of players, especially newer players, get caught up in the one style that they know, and even when they're playing the style they know, things so as the first step was recognizing what your patterns are. Second step is breaking those patterns. But there are ways to break those patterns that are more effective, not more efficient, but more effective. Most people think, okay, I'm playing or doing something that's a standard thing that I always do. I'm predictable. I can do this. So this time, I'm going to do the opposite. That doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. For two reasons.
Mostly,
Yep.
yeah. I was gonna say what the reason. One of the reasons why is
Hit me.
because, um, yeah, people like what's familiar. They don't like change. They rarely embrace and accept and are happy for change.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the biggest reasons why I don't do it. We have those patterns that we develop in gaming, even.
There is that, but I want to go a little deeper because it's kind of reductive to just say that people don't like. Let's take a look at why they don't like change, or what about change they don't like. And there are two major components, and this gets in the way of the efficacy of going the complete opposite direction. Okay? Um, the thing about change that messes with people's heads sincerely, um, like sincerely, one of the things about change is that change puts people in danger of feeling, and I mean this, feeling irrelevant. Okay, especially in the United States, most people feel, and they're shown by a lot of different places, that expertise is the only thing that allows them in the environment. You know, um, they'll never put it that way, but I've seen way too many people use phrases like, you don't know what you're talking about, so shut up. Don't know what you're doing, so go find out how to do it. Come back when you. And when a person tries to change up anything, it viscerally activates those defense mechanisms. Okay? But when they do try and do something different, um, God, what was it? What was it? I used to say it all the time. There's no correction like overcorrection. So the character that plays the magic slinging wizard who's the really smart guy, when they try and change things up, the first thing that they tend to try and play is the stupid barbarian that hits things and can't read. But they tend not to have a whole lot of fun when they do that type of thing. Or heaven forbid they end up getting offensive. Um because barbarian don't mean stupid, it just means unwise. Or actually it means not quite smart, but it doesn't mean unwise. And there's a difference between uneducated and impulsive. um mm, I have something caught in my throat today. I need more liquid. um so when you recognize your patterns, one of the effective ways of changing things up is to make a small to medium size change. Example: if you play a feral fighter, okay, if you play like the werewolf archetype, not the Chad per se, but the Aragorn. If you play the dude that really knows how to fight, um, and you want to play something different, instead of making them a magic slinging wizard, start by making them an archer instead of a sword player. You see what I mean? Um, stay within the familiar, but change up something, and let the most extreme change be the key definitive change. Um, I tend to play wizards when I'm playing fantasy. Now, when I'm playing D&D, I will play conjuration all day. I like going poof, a chair's here. Poof, a table is over there. Poof, I drop an anvil on your head. I love doing that. And when I want a different type of wizard, I may play a necromancer. You know, um, I tend not to play divination wizards because I don't like being mean to my GMs. But yeah, it's that kind of thing. Like in the Ariad game that I'm in on Thursdays, I'm playing a wizard, but this is the first time I've played a time wizard, which I'm finding is a divination wizard on crack. So yeah, um, and the last time I played a D&D game that someone else was GMing, I played a paladin. I still had spells, but I was made for one-on-one dueling and not getting out there and Sauroning crowd of people with one swipe takes out 7 or 8 people. See what I mean? Heather, like, what were some of the changes that you've made in previous games just to try something different that weren't the complete opposite of what you normally like to play?
Well, I usually like to play bards, but uh I hadn't tried being a bard that wasn't a human, or I usually like playing a barbarian, but I don't like the fact that they have that stigma of being, dumb as rocks. So I'll switch it up every now and again. Uh and the one that's most memorable for me for bards especially was when I made a bard that was a wild elf. Now they're very rare in the mythos of D&D. But the reason why I played a wild elf is because it was the closest thing to being like, my skin tone, or, being considered what someone would be in the world of D&D, as a, skin tone. And that was interesting. And that character's name was Heidi Hole. And I definitely had more fun with Heidi Hole than anybody else because, I wasn't a bard that was seeking out, sex or anything like that. It was just like, I'm here to boost morale. I'm here to give you those buffs. I'm here to keep you um entertained or entertain and earn money on the way, things like that. And I didn't necessarily win every bard thing that was offered to me. Like for instance, there was a bard job in the in the game, in the campaign, but I didn't get the job because I was serenading dwarves, and the dwarves have a very particular kind of style of music that they like. So I didn't make it into that job because of that.
Into like heavy metal. Ah? Ah?
No, it's
She's like, ha 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 ha.
oh
Boy, you lucky this your show.
Leonard Lakino also said that when it comes to change, it usually weighs you down. That would have cracked me up too.
And you know what,
You're
Neon?
not
Dwarves do
wrong.
tend to like hard rock, but not nearly as much as goblins. It's a thing. Anyway, go on.
What was I saying?
You were saying that you
Yeah,
lost a
so
bard contest because you were serenading.
right. I was trying to serenade these dwarves, and I was all about like, and look at all boys going to fight and fight all day and fight all night. And they were like, no, boo, get off the stage, throwing tomatoes and eggs.
Oh
And I'm
wow!
like, what?
Tell me you
Yeah.
won
And
them
my
back
GM
by
at the time,
singing
he told
Rawhide.
me,
Yeah.
no, I wish I would have been able to do that. But no, the GM told me out of character after the game was over that yeah, they prefer more dour songs. It's like, and the treasure was yeah, like that. you've seen you have seen The Hobbit, right?
Yes, I've seen the
Or at
recent
least
Hop.
read the books.
Yes, yes, I.
Yeah. So
So you
so
were
that's
like,
where that came
"Yeah,
from.
I'm Dr. Roxo," and they were like, "Oh, the misty mountains cold." They're like, "Yeah,
Yep.
that's my jam."
Uh, yeah, I wasn't gonna win no matter what because I didn't know that, and the reason why I didn't know that is because I didn't read any rule books. You asked me if I've read any rule books in any kind of D&D campaign or World of Warcraft or World of Darkness is what I meant. Um, I'm gonna tell you what. I'll read certain parts like out of, and it's really not good to do that. You should read the rule book in its entirety just because you will understand the game better that way. It's just
I
I have this
disagree.
aversion to reading because of I have an aversion to reading because I'm dyslexic. Unless it's being read out loud to me, I'm gonna lose my place. I'm gonna mix words up. So it's a little difficult for me to read sometimes, and it wears on my eyes.
I disagree.
Not that I don't like reading.
Believe it or not, in all my years of gaming, you look at me the way you do. I'll tell you, I never read a rule book. Started with what I was using, like a reference. One day, I realized I read this whole thing over the course of 3 campaigns. Yes, I do. I don't know. Although I will say, should a game is
Really? Oh, it's hammer time. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, ding.
I'm
Hammer the
like,
treasure.
please
Ding, ding,
don't
ding,
hurt
ding,
me.
ding. Don't
Yeah.
hurt me. Ding, ding, ding,
So
ding.
it actually makes me wonder. So does that mean, Xanathades, that all of your dwarves like make money the proper way, never give up because yeah. But anyway, I shouldn't touch that. I shouldn't. I can't touch that. um, but yeah. So I mean, going in different places from that. Um, as I said, I switch up the type of wisdom. Um, now, again, than that, going the complete opposite has a problem working from time to time is that tends to cause field players. What do I mean? It's simple. You guys have been out there talking to you, Xanathage, you Gray Ghost, you Black and White now in color. Definitely you, Sad Strange Little Man. And where are some of my older heads that are out there? I think Miss Moozalot has had this at the gaming table when that thing. Hear that player say that phrase. Real quick, Heather, give me a character class.
Druid.
That phrase. Oh my god, the plants are attacking us and we need healing. Please, Sandra, help. I'm not that kind. It's like, well, why are you here? You know? Well, what kind of druid are you? That's what. No, not it's what my character would do. Neanderthal Kino. But no, I'm talking about the not that kind. Like, hey, you're a rogue, or well, rogue is the name of it. Hey, you're a thief. We need this lock picked. Not that kind. Hey, cleric, we need some healing. Not that kind of. Okay, so what are you? And the opposite what people expect makes it different in a cooperative game. Other players, you know,
Um,
uh,
it really does. you might have run into some issues with the party,
Yeah.
which is why whenever I enter a game, before I even get to game one and make a character, I ask, what does the party need? Do we need healing? Do we need more spells? Do we need more songs, more buffs? What do we need? Because as much as I like playing a bard is useless if the party's pretty much made up of barbarians and doors and they don't have a healer. Everyone's gonna die eventually. And I played a cleric in the last Pathfinder game I was in, but I got burned to a crisp. So the the point is that I make sure that I fit in with the party, or I fit a niche that needs to be filled, so that I'm more valuable in the game.
Well, that is definitely a way to do it. But believe it or not required. I went when you said a bard in a barbarian party is useful. I disagree. Bards do. Um, but
They do.
bards
They're
are
minor.
yeah, but bards are really good at helping dodge rolls and saving throws. I'm a barbarian. You know what? I'm gonna tell you the story of Ratchnak the Rock Eater right before you make your death save. Here you go. You know, come on, man. Be like Ratchnak the Rock Eater. He had big, strong hands. You're not trying to save. You're not trying to save the
Oh no,
stupid
not that
snail.
reference again.
You know,
Oh man, every time in the fields.
are you telling me that I've fallen into a pattern of referencing Rockbiter? You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'll tell you the story of Moonchild and the way that she got her. See what I mean? I changed it up, but I still stayed within the never-ending story. You see, it's that
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. And yeah, Moonchild was a whole lot of research. um. So
That
yeah,
was the name, really?
yeah. My mother had a
Wow.
wonderful name. Her mother was Moonchild. She was Native American. Stories. Um. It's made more clear. Um.
Yeah, you couldn't hear shit when Uncut was screaming into the nothing. I'm like, what did he just? What the? Oh, I can't hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad, strange little man is like Um, I got accused of thievery. My character's a rogue, not a crook. Oh, so your character, like, real talk. When I switched up a bard character, I did something that my party didn't understand. Because I didn't play like, when I play a bard, I go full rock star. Okay, I mean, full rock star. My bard pattern is Featherfall, Tensor's Floating Disc, Dancing Lights, and Thaumaturgy. So I'll have the barbarian throw my character over a wall where a crowd is, and I will feather fall to the ground while playing my instrument with dancing lights around me and thaumaturgy singing all along the watchtower. And they're like, "What is that? Oh my God, he is great." I'm like, "Yeah, you can call me the pale white. All the young dudes, the whole time."
Mm-hmm.
And I go full 1970s glam rock, either Bowie or Kiss or Hendrix or Young Prince when all he wore was a thong and thigh high boots. Do not picture that if you want to, because you might get a little sick.
What?
Um, what you?
Oh,
Yeah, Prince's first and second album.
Prince.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I must be way too young to know that.
You really are. But yeah, thong, thigh high boots, and a coat. That was my man.
Oh.
um, that was controversy.
Oh, I can see why the
Controversy.
ladies were.
Do
Mm,
you need a
he's
minute?
dead and all, but
Yeah, you need a. She's like, oh, well,
I go
oh,
change
no wonder
something.
my mama was the way my mama was. Oh, oh, my lord, I'm getting the vapors. Oh, just picturing that very little man in such little
Oh,
clothing with that high voice he had was so
Lord have
svelte.
mercy.
And I'm going, oh my lord, 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 lord. Yeah, you know, I'm just overcome, you know. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I go total glamour the whole time, and people are like, yep, yep, that's Solar Planet card. What's he doing? He full 1970s and 80 rock. Watch, he's about to use about to use prestidigitation to fire breathe. Like, yeah, that's right, because I don't feel like role playing right now. I'm playing a bard because I feel like it. But at the same time, um, not to keep the party guessing, but to keep them entertained. Too, there's a whole lot. Firehouse was cool. I was more into docking at the big. Um, but yeah, part of playing the game is have fun when the people around fun, you know. Um, so yeah, when the GM is like, "Oh, you're gonna sing that song? Fine, sing the song. I'm gonna challenge you." Yeah, I'll pull out something from my Doctor Dimension, something like that. Um, because in my head, these characters are cool, not just not down with goblins. And when you create a person, you have a much broader palette buffet to come up with characters. You just liven up is to think beyond mechanics and start swimming in swim. Um yeah, sometimes poisoning pigeons in the park, existential blues. Um, you know, I do actually believe that certain types of um but yeah, I mean talk. Um these are things this is why connected. Um you're playing to go, wizard, look at my pointy hat. Look at my spurs. You know. Um but I'll tell you guys, if you guys weren't watching Thursday, um Build Magic World for the gaming set. And I play a time wizard, which means practically no hit points, no fighting skill. You have a crossbow and crossbow expertise because my main spell that I use can knock people prone. I once asked my mom about never taking a man down, and she asked me a better time. So I take crossbow expertise so I can shoot people when they're on the ground. Um, but real talk. Don't ask me questions like that, Nia. Private. Um, but when all that stuff comes along, um, you know, when all that stuff comes, what was I gonna do? Wizard character, the GM off Mac. Answer was I hit a library and did some research. I'm like, no, what is this magical artifact that we got that I don't want anybody putting on? Oh my god, what trouble is coming down? What flavor on this? Now that I'm a wizard with no magic, what wizard with no magic really is? Heather?
No, what is it?
A nerd. High school. That's it. That's all a wizard is. He is the dude with a whole bunch of impractical knowledge that can't really do much to help people. you know.
Wow. So then, okay, you're still giving the story spice though, with your with or flavor as you called it, just by your role playing, I would think. But that doesn't help the party as far as like if they need somebody to cast a spell. um,
Well,
that sucks, man. Oh wow.
at the time, no one could spell, but most of the other members of the party could do stuff other than casting spells. However, I got information about the magical artifact that we had. I found out some information about one of the subplots that are, and I secured the party's relationship with the wizard school. Possibly negotiated a way to identify the magical artifacts we gather for, you know, because I played a person, not a position. That's the thing. Um, Now GMs, okay, or the people hosting games, never forget that we are playing and everything that we do is representative. Um, it's really easy caught up. It's really easy. This bonus, that bonus, the statistical analysis swallow you and make you forget what other people find. Um, and as Play on Tabletop, check them out. Watching this says dice tells stories. Okay, um, they really do. Dice. They tell the story what happens on the table. Like, hey, all I need is a four, and I'm rolling 28 dice. One of them's got to come up a four or higher, right? Oh my god, I rolled 27 threes and two ones. That sucks. Yeah, I mean it, but it is a and GMs have this tendency or feeling to do something original. I know
No,
a
you
lot of
don't have to reinvent the wheel.
well, I know a lot
You,
of GM
you
or a
don't
lot of people who be GMs because they can't come up with an original story.
You don't have to. You could use something like Pathfinder. They give you pre-generated characters, especially at places like, I don't know, Strategicon. You and even you don't even have to go to Strategicon for that to happen. All you got to do is go to Paizo, and they'll give you the stories. They'll give you the modules.
I
It's
mean,
not that
there's
hard.
there's that, and I can tell a lot of people pattern recognition, especially players in because they haven't quite separated the idea of victory from game. A lot of
So what's
hmm?
No, I was just gonna ask. So what's the difference? Because I know the difference. I'm not testing you. I was just like, victory from gaming. To me, when you say that, is like you may have lost the battle, but you still had fun.
Um,
So
I'm
then, what's
talking a lot of folks and believe they have to be more clever than eat game game. So they'll do their best to guess the next part of the story. Like they train the game. A lot of feel pressure having to invent a story that the five or six players at their table in the 21st century where everyone has a minimum of three streaming services that the players have collectively never seen or never heard of. Because if the players go, hey, that reminds me of this movie from 1987, or this is the plot from this book that I read when I was 8, or this is the plot from Captain Marvel. Yeah, I saw it. I know you didn't think nobody saw it, but I saw it. And then they try and get through that. And this is something I see a lot with licensed games too. Like when I was running the Dresden Files, the people that wanted to play were the people that loved the books. So they were trying to use resources from books that they knew about that their players didn't or their characters did. Okay. Um, but this is what I have to say to GMs get caught up in those ruts of telling the same story over and over and over again.
is it find new players?
No, sometimes it's not an option. But
True.
one of the things, uh, the part that really gives any modern story meaning is Act Two. Okay, Act Two is the really big part. Okay, Act One, player introduction and the promise of the premise. Act Two, difficulties and fun and games. Act Three, climax and resolution. Okay, um, but part two, but that second act, okay, the second act is the one that really solidifies the feeling, even if Act Three is what's most remembered. And if you don't believe me, I challenge you to think about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, really think about the Marvel Cinematic. If you watch Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, and then skip all the way to Infinity War and Endgame, would it hit as hard? Hmm?
No,
Why
I'm
not?
not.
Hmm?
Well, mm, I think there's some tacit things that are missing. If you watched one movie out of the three, excuse me, if you watched all three of the first movies and then skipped to in store game, I think you'd be missing some parts.
um, you'd be missing a lot. You'd be missing the. By the way, thank you very much, Black and White Now in Color, keeping that prime going. But yeah, I mean, you'd be missing the introduction of Doctor Strange, Black Panther. You'd be missing the story of Captain America and Iron Man having their fight in Civil War. You'd miss the introduction of Ant Man and Captain Marvel and Spider Man. you would be you would miss most of everything that happened in the climax. When Scarlet Witch comes along and in Infinity War and you see Okoye going, wait, y'all had her the whole time? You wouldn't know who's on screen because you saw the beginning and you saw the end. But the thing that gives any story purpose is the middle. The middle is what gives a story purpose. It gives them feeling. It sets context for the climax. And most people, when they think of stories, they think of beginning and end. But that middle, you can do whatever you want with that middle and make it yours. There's a statement in writing that says there's really only seven stories to tell, and it's true. Just seven stories. That's it. That's all there are. Not gonna go on a list of what they are because we've been going for about an hour and a half. But what I can say is I haven't seen that disproved. Okay. Um, a story about a boy and his dog is a story about a boy and his dog. Hey, look, a guy and his pet. You know, um, I mean, let's see. On May 1st, 2023, 90% of stories that are in popular media are Pedro Pascal takes a child through somewhere dangerous. um, but
But the child is not a pet. What are you implying here?
I'm not implying that the child is a pet. I'm saying that most stories in media right now are Pedro Pascal takes a child somewhere dangerous. However, The Last of Us is different from The Mandalorian, not just in setting, but in character interaction, the people that they run into, and the purpose. You know? I mean, the setting does have a lot to do with it, but it's easy to fall into a rut going, oh, it's Pedro Pascal taking a kid somewhere. It's Pedro Pascal in Star Wars taking a kid somewhere. It's Pedro Pascal in a zombie apocalypse taking a kid somewhere. But the interactions that Pedro Pascal has with Grogu are completely different from the ones he has with Ellie. And those are the reasons that people watch those shows, you know? So if you're concerned about coming up with an original story, it's not an original premise that you should be concerned about. It's what you do with that story, you know? Um, and a lot of people look at stuff going, well, it's all the same thing. I move little figures around a board after rolling dice and they do what they do. It's the same game. And I'm like, if that's the case, then why does Monopoly cost $13 and Warhammer 40K cost your children? There's something different about those two, you know? But they both have a little bitty figure that moves around a board after you roll some dice. So there's got to be something different. And the difference is the meat of the sandwich. One slice of bread's the beginning and the premise, the other slice is the freaking climax and the end. But the meat, what's the meat? Is it pastrami? Is it salami? Is it ham? Turkey? Lamb?
I had carne asada.
Huh?
I had carne
Exactly.
asada in
It,
my torta
exactly.
last night.
Exactly. That's
It
what
was
I'm
good.
talking about.
It was so good.
Right?
Oh,
Right? But really, the only thing carne asada doesn't go well with is chocolate and
oh
unagi sauce.
no, that's a terrible thing to do to both of those
Yeah,
things.
exactly. But, it's the three things that are good at any time don't tend to go good together. So, chocolate covered carne asada topped in chocolate, not or yeah, chocolate covered carne asada topped in unagi sauce does not work. But oh well, thank you, Black. Oh yeah, just ruin my theory by going, but mole. Shut up. Yeah, but you can't mix mole with unagi sauce. God, I'm terrible. Yeah, yeah. I mean, but seriously, but the meat, the real substance of your thing is what can happen because I can tell you, I can run a game that I intend on making Sam Raimi Spider-Man's parts 1 and 2. But you know what my game won't have?
Evil Dead.
No, it won't have Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, or Kirsten Dunst. It will have me and whoever else is at my table, and chances are that won't be Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst. Hopefully one day, Neon, I will have Bruce Campbell at my table. I still haven't sacrificed enough vermin from under my house to make that possible. But one day, I will run a game with Matthew Lillard and Bruce Campbell. That will be a day. And that'll probably be the day that I stop live streaming because what can I do to stop that? You know? And the answer is nothing. And that brings me to the final point, which is if you find yourself in a rut, you don't have to try and top what you did last time. All that's required for a little bit of spice in your gaming experience is something that you don't normally do. Different. Shoot for different. It might be better, it might be worse, it might be the same, but different. Shoot for different. Because 9 chances out of 10, it won't be worse. It'll just be new. And new isn't always worse. Different isn't always worse. It will be uncomfortable at first. But my recommendation is give it 5 sessions, see what happens. Right? What are your thoughts on this, Heather, while we wrap it up and head on out?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, adding a little flavor or spice to your gaming by thinking outside the box a little bit. It can be within the same parameters, but, venture out a little bit, test and see what it would be like to be a druid bard ranger class with, the intelligence of 14 or something like that. I don't know. But the point is that there's nothing wrong with getting outside of your pattern. Us humans, we're creatures of habit, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, making the or making the character that's a little different adds more fun to the campaign for you and the other players.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but we'll cover this on a different show. But actually, we kind of covered it on that. The thing of not going complete opposite is because you have to avoid again, no correction like an overcorrect, but you can make a little adjustment, little adjustment. That's a little bit.
Just tweak it here a little bit.
Yeah, just jiggle the handle. Is what I'm just jiggle the handle a little bit. You know, but if you guys got any other questions or comments, anything like that, then well, keep them to yourself. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Unless your comment is about mole when I say that you shouldn't mix carne asada with chocolate. No, but yeah, feel free to send me an email at backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK@gmail.com. You can always reach out to me over on Instagram and Twitter, also at Back on the Deck. You can also hit me up on TikTok. Sorry, a friend of mine started calling it Toctics just to mess with people. And I don't want to do that because I like you guys. And of course, you can hit me up if you were part of that wretched hive of scum and villainy known as Facebook. You can hit me up at Deckers on the Book. Join our group. That's right. Check it out. Oh yeah, you call it Chinese spyware. Oh man, you are on a roll today, Neon. Of course, you can always join our Discord server because Neon and Neon is already on that. Like, yeah, wow, look at that. And Heather, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so if you like seeing me on Solar Show, I'm also on another show called Gaming Fix Live, with two X's, by the way. Yeah, because three would have made it safe for work. But yeah, so if you want to watch that show with us, feel free. We would love for you to come in, chat with us, or just do the lurk thing. That's going to be on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, you can get there by going to twitch.tv/gamingfixlive. That's AMINGFIXXLIVE. And if you want to get a hold of me by email, feel free to email me at mellowcello007@gmail.com. And you can also get a hold of me on my Instagram with the same screen name, mellowcello007. That's MELLOCELLO007. And yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Seller.
Hey, no problem, no problem. And I put all that stuff in the chat while you were talking because I'm trying to be all professional and all that stuff. And again, join us tomorrow as we expand on this topic, but we are going to be covering card games and falling into a rut with your card games and all that stuff. So that is a thing. But with that, I got to say thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being such an active chat. You guys actually really had me entertained today. And if anybody tells you that you can't like what you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, budget, or neurodivergency, you can tell them to take those cards and put them back in the deck. I'm Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you guys, and we will see you next time. Dark Side of the Ring.